The Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack is a chess opening that stands out for its unconventional approach. It is named after two renowned chess masters, Aaron Nimzowitsch and Bent Larsen, who championed hypermodern chess principles. This opening is not as popular as some others. However, it offers a unique and intriguing path to victory. It allows white to steer the game towards complex and imbalanced positions right from the start. The Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack is characterized by its dynamic nature. It often leads to sharp and tactical battles. This opening is a favorite among players who prefer a flexible approach. They like to avoid heavily theoretical lines. Instead, they aim to outmaneuver their opponents with creative and unpredictable play. What makes this opening particularly interesting is its emphasis on strategic nuances and subtle positional advantages. It challenges the traditional emphasis on immediate central control. It often uses a Fianchettoed bishop on b2 to control the center from a distance. This creates a unique dynamic where white can dictate the flow of the game without necessarily occupying the center with pawns. The Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack is a testament to the depth and complexity of chess. It shows that there is more than one way to achieve victory. It encourages players to think outside the box and embrace unconventional strategies. The opening move 1b3 might seem unusual at first glance. After all, it doesn't immediately control any central squares or develop a major piece. However, this unassuming move carries a hidden depth. It lays the foundation for a strategic approach that can be surprisingly effective. The primary purpose of 1b3 is to prepare the fianchetto of the light-squared bishop on b2. This bishop, once developed, exerts influence over the long diagonal. It can target key squares like e5 and potentially hinder black's development. The move 1b3 also creates flexibility for white. It keeps options open for developing other pieces. White can choose to develop their queen's knight to either c3 or f3 depending on the flow of the game. Another advantage of 1b3 is its element of surprise. Opponents might not be as familiar with this opening compared to more common ones. This can lead to them making inaccuracies or feeling unsure about their plans. This lack of familiarity can work to white's advantage. In essence, 1b3 is a subtle yet powerful move. It sets the stage for a strategic battle where white aims to control key squares and diagonals. They want to dictate the pace of the game from the flanks. The Fianchettoed bishop on b2 is the cornerstone of the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack. This bishop plays a pivotal role in white's strategy. It exerts long-range pressure on the center and often targets black's kingside. One of the bishop's primary targets is the e5 square. This square is crucial for black's development. It is often occupied by a pawn or a piece. The bishop on b2 can hinder black's plans by controlling this square. It can force black to make defensive moves. The bishop's influence extends beyond the e5 square. It can also control other important diagonals. It can hinder black's pieces from developing effectively. This can give white a significant advantage in the opening. Moreover, the Fianchettoed bishop can become a powerful attacking piece in the later stages of the game. It can target black's kingside, especially if black castle's short. The bishop can work in tandem with other pieces, like the queen and the knight, to create threats. A key strength of the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack is its adaptability. White's strategy is not fixed. It can change based on black's responses. This flexibility makes it a challenging opening for black to counter. White can choose to develop their pieces in various ways. They can develop their queen's knight to either c3 or f3. They can decide whether to castle kingside or queenside. These choices depend on how black sets up their pieces. Pawn levers are another important aspect of white's strategy. Pawn levers such as c4 and f4 can be used to challenge black's control of the center. They can also open up lines for white's pieces. The adaptability of the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack allows white to avoid falling into predictable patterns. It keeps black guessing. This can lead to black making mistakes. Section 5. Developing with purpose. In the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack, developing pieces is not just about getting them off the back rank. It's about positioning them strategically to create threats and control key areas of the board. White will often develop their queen's knight to f3. This supports the pawn on e4 and prepares to challenge black's control of the center. The bishop on b2 is already developed, exerting pressure on the long diagonal. White might also consider developing their queen's knight to c3. This can be a good move if black plays aggressively on the queen side. The knight on c3 can help defend white's pawns and also prepare to advance the pawn to c4, challenging black's central control. Another important aspect of development is castling. White can choose to castle either kingside or queenside. Castling kingside is a more common choice as it provides safety for the king and allows white to connect their rooks. However, castling queenside can be a good option in certain situations. For example, if black has castled kingside, and white wants to launch an attack on the open queenside files. Section 6. Black's Counterplay. Black has several options to counter the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack. They need to react dynamically to white's flexible setup. Their goal is to seize the initiative and prevent white from developing their pieces comfortably. One common response is to establish a firm presence in the center. Black can achieve this by playing moves like 1, d5 or 1, e5. These moves immediately challenge white's control of the center. They force white to react to black's moves. Another approach is to develop pieces actively. Black can develop their queen's knight to c6. This controls the important d4 square. Black can also develop their king's knight to f6. This prepares to challenge white's control of the e5 square. Black can also try to exploit the fact that white's pawn structure is slightly weakened on the queen side. They can put pressure on the b3 pawn. They can force white to defend it. Section 7. Transpositions and Transformations. The Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack is not a rigid opening system. It often leads to transpositions into other openings. This adds another layer of complexity. It keeps both sides on their toes. For instance, if black responds with 1, nf6, white can choose to play 2, bb2 d5. This transposes into a queen's pawn game. It resembles some lines of the queen's Indian defense. Similarly, if black plays 1, e5, white can opt for 2, bb2 nc6-3, nf3. This can lead to positions similar to the king's Indian attack. These transpositions highlight the dynamic nature of the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack. It's not about memorizing specific lines, it's about understanding the underlying strategic principles. It's about adapting to the changing dynamics of the board. The possibility of transpositions makes the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack a versatile weapon. It allows white to steer the game into familiar territory. They can use their understanding of those openings. At the same time, it allows white to surprise their opponents. Their opponents might not expect these transpositions. Section 8. Advantages and Challenges for White. The Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack offers several advantages for white. However, it also presents some challenges. Understanding these advantages and challenges is crucial for playing this opening effectively. One of the main advantages is its element of surprise. Opponents may be less familiar with this opening compared to more mainstream ones. This can lead to them making inaccuracies or feeling less confident in their responses, giving white an early psychological edge. Another advantage is the flexibility it offers. White can adapt their plans based on black's choices, making it difficult for black to counter effectively. This adaptability allows white to avoid falling into predictable patterns and keeps black guessing. The Fianchettoed bishop on b2 is a significant advantage. It controls key diagonals, puts pressure on black's position, and can become a dangerous attacking piece in the later stages of the game. However, the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack also presents some challenges. One challenge is that it doesn't offer immediate central control. This means white needs to be cautious about black's attempts to seize control of the center early on. Another challenge is that black has several viable responses. White needs to be prepared to face different setups and adjust their plans accordingly. Section 9. Advantages and Challenges for Black. The Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack, while posing challenges, also presents opportunities for black. Black can use white's unconventional opening to their advantage. One advantage for black is that white's opening move, 1b3, doesn't immediately occupy any central squares or develop a major piece. This gives black the opportunity to establish a firm presence in the center with moves like 1, d5 or 1, e5. Black can also try to exploit the fact that white's pawn structure is slightly weakened on the queen side. They can put pressure on the b3 pawn and force white to use moves to defend it, potentially slowing down white's development. However, black also faces challenges. One challenge is that they need to be familiar with various setups and transpositions that can arise from the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack. This requires flexibility and an understanding of different strategic plans. Another challenge is that white often has the element of surprise. Black might be less familiar with the nuances of this opening, which can lead to them making inaccuracies or feeling less confident in their plans.